You're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast, your new favorite podcast for everything Bills and Sabres. What's going on, everybody? You are listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast, your favorite podcast for all things Bills and Sabres, with the pals, Nigel, Tom, and Jake. Episode 32 coming at you. Don't forget to follow our social medias. You can find us on all the platforms: Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube. You can use the handle at Let's Go Buff Pod, and you'll come right to us. Let's say hello to the fellas this evening. Tommy, how you doing, buddy?
Dude, I'm good. I'm
Good.
ready to roll. We got a marathon of a sandwich to get through here tonight. So yeah, I'm good.
Lots to talk about for sure. Torpedo, what's shaking, broski?
I'm good too. Yeah, good week so far. Weather's warming up. Feels like spring, but I did get one last skiing session in over the weekend, so I'm thrilled about that. But we got a lot to chew on this week, boys.
Damn, you skied this past weekend?
I did. Yeah,
Was
it
Was it
It
on
was-
a piece
it was
of
great.
cardboard down like a single track of snow? Like what was it?
No, it was really warm last week, but over the weekend it dipped a little bit, and it snowed the night before, and then it was snowing during the day on the mountain. So it was real snow. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Now, what mountain is that over by you that you go to?
I went to Bel Air in the Catskills.
Bel Air. I thought that was is that California? I don't know. I don't even know.
Different spelling.
Gotcha. Sweet, dude. Well, I'm glad you got one more in before the season ended. Tom, did you go skiing once this season?
No. I ski an embarrassingly small amount for a Vermonter. So
Yeah, I know. I didn't go once this year. I think this is the first time in a long time I haven't gone at least one time. But
man. Yeah, I gotta figure that out.
yeah, me too. All right. Well, hey, fellas, good news. It's time for a beverage, and I can join you today for a change. What do you say? Shall I count us down? I was premature. I'm already open here. I got a bottle anyway. So, all right, here we go. Ready?
That's cheating.
It's a bottle. What am I gonna do? Ready? 3, 2, 1. Nice. I'm going first because I'm excited because I finally have a beer. And I am going with the old stomping grounds, boys. You guessed it. The old Ithaca Beer Company Flower Power. So for those that may not know, all three of us went to Ithaca College. And for a little bit of time, myself and Tom and our buddy Jack, we were all students in the School of Music at Ithaca. And for a hot minute there, one summer, we all worked at Ithaca Beer Company. It was only one season for Tom, but Jack and I bartended there together for about 4 years.
And it was as ridiculous as anybody who knows this can imagine. Yeah, like who decided to hire all three of us to then be responsible for anything?
The craziest part of the whole thing was Jack was there first, and Jack was the one that put in good words for us. And first of all, the bad thing is people listened to Jack.
To him, yeah. Somehow his words held weight of some sort.
And then all of a sudden you get to Tom and I, and they had to be not thrilled with those hirings, but it's such is the way it goes.
It's a wonder that building isn't burned down at this point with you three of you guys running around there.
Yeah,
I know.
It's very good. Yeah,
it was.
But it definitely fueled our parties. It was good. It was nice
for sure. Yeah, working there,
a steady stream.
And
my God, the creaker that you guys brought back, like some
the creaker, man.
It was delicious, but it was like a 10% beer or something like that.
Yeah, 9.5. I want to say it was 9.4, something like that.
Criminal.
So, but the old bottling line that they had there used to not be great. So when they would bottle beer, there would always be what are called shorts, and there would be pallets. I'm talking like full pallets, 6 cases high of beers that we couldn't technically sell in stores because there was like that much less than what there was
half an ounce or something. Yeah, it was
exactly.
like not exact.
Or in some cases more than 12 ounces. So those shorts were just free beer for us. And that was, I don't think I paid for beer for 3 years of college.
And then we'd return the bottles at the grocery store.
I got more money.
That's your laundry money right there.
We're nothing but intelligent. I'm gonna tell you now.
My absolute favorite, dude, was getting the kegs for like a fraction of the price. And then at our house parties, charging $5 a cup. we would like quadruple
Yeah.
our expenses, dude. Oh, good times.
So good.
So yeah, Flower Power IPA. Shout out Ithaca. Shout out Ithaca College. Let's see, Torpedo. What are you drinking up there, big dog?
I'm glad you let Tom go last because he's excited about his. But I have a Two Roads Brewing, the Too Juicy, which has never been used to describe me, but it's a very solid hazy IPA from our friends at Two Roads in Connecticut.
Nice, dude. Hell yeah, Fish. All right, Tom.
A foam brewery, which is delicious up here by Burlington VT. And it's a golden ale, dry hopped, super tasty. I was telling the guys earlier I could hardly kind of save one. I had bought this like a week and a half ago, and it took a lot of effort to not just drink them all before the podcast. So we got a couple listeners out there. Anybody out there having a drink with us? What are you guys drinking? Throw it in the comments.
Yeah, don't be afraid to throw a like on there as well. A couple people in here, throw a comment, make fun of somebody. I don't know, do something, but we'll pin it. All right, boys, should we get into this big old mess of stuff that we got going on here?
Please.
Let's do it.
So name of the game today, folks, is just going to be trying but the last time we podcasted was Tuesday of last week. So
it was a whole different world. We were different people back then.
Yeah, straight up, dude, at least in the sports world. So much has happened. Trade deadlines have come and gone. Legal tampering periods in the NFL have come and gone. Free agency deals, money getting thrown around in the NFL like it's not even an object. So there's a lot to get into today. We're going to try and keep it around an hour. We might go over a little bit. But we're going to kick things off with the Sabres. So there have been some pretty exciting things that have been happening. And we're going to get into the big stuff there. But first, a couple of the smaller things. So Jake, first off, dude, I got to shout out you and I because everybody that moved was somebody that we talked about last pod as a potential candidate for going. So shout out us. I think we did a pretty good job of guessing those players there. I'm just seeing, I forgot to change where it says my name. This is Tom's dad.
Hey, yeah, new title. Somebody got business for me.
It's too late now, dude. It's there now. Yeah, I have to leave it. So, yeah. First of those less sort of fun, sexy trades. Erik Johnson. Erik Johnson went to Philadelphia Flyers. Somehow on this planet, we got a 4th round pick for Erik Johnson, which is absolutely crazy. For some reason, we love to fleece the Philadelphia Flyers in trades. Don't forget that they gave us a 1st round pick for Rasmus Ristolainen, I think 3 years ago now. So you can just put this on their tab in terms of them giving us more than they should have. I would have parted with EJ for a 6th, but I guess they wanted the leadership. Does this do anything for you, Jake? Anything move the needle here?
I mean, I think it's good that he gets a chance to go to Philly. They're fighting for a playoff spot, so good for him. I'm happy with the return. Yeah, 4th round pick is more than I was bargaining for too. I think 6th round pick somewhere in there is kind of what I expected. So I'm pleasantly surprised by the 4th. I mean, yeah, we definitely fleeced Philadelphia in the Ristolainen trade. He's looked better. I got to give him credit. Like they have put him in a position to succeed in Philadelphia. So I'm not saying that we didn't fleece them, but they at least made him a more valuable defenseman for them. But I think that's a bit of a sham. I don't think he could go and replicate that on another team. I think it's very much how they insulated him in Philadelphia. But anyways, to put a bow on it, yeah, no, I'm super thrilled with the 4th round pick for Johnson.
Yeah. Kyle Okposo off to the Florida Panthers, which if nothing else, dude, I'm just thrilled because I think for mine and your money, Jake, we sent Kyle to the best team in the league right now. And all we can do right now is just kind of hope that he's gonna get a cup because that guy deserves it. He's done a lot for the Sabres. Grateful for him, but also glad to see him go. It's not somebody that's adding a lot offensively or anything like that at this point. So Okposo off to Florida in return, and I'm gonna butcher this name. I looked it up today trying to figure it out. Jake, you don't know how to say this guy's name by chance, do you?
Not any more than you do.
I think based on what I found, and so he's Swedish, I think it's Kalle Schalin, something like that. I'm sure that's going to be wrong, but AHL defenseman, he did get a point in his first game with us after having only 3 points in like 30 games with the Charlotte Checkers. So we like that. But yeah, he's going to play for Rochester. And then we also got a 2024 7th round pick for Kyle Okposo. Jake, anything there you want to touch on?
I think the return for this, the AHL D-man and a 7th round pick, is pretty irrelevant. Like I would have, I think I would have given him away for free to go to do him a solid. He was such a tremendous captain for this team. Not so much in what the team did while he was captain, but he was the torchbearer, if you will, to bring this team kind of out of a very, very dark era into an era that has a little bit more excitement and hope around it. I think he's a consummate professional. Like he is. I can't think of a better player to give you an interview or represent the team than him.
Definitely
just
not.
A family man. Like he's just a great dude. Like I got no other words than that. And with the injuries that he's had in his career and the health scares, I mean, he almost fucking died. Like let's not forget that. The fact that he's still playing and the fact that he still has some gas left in the tank, especially on the defensive side of the puck, which is where he's going to be more valuable in Florida. I'm thrilled for him. Like I really hope. I was cheering for Florida last year in the playoffs for a good number of the rounds. I'm not going to lie. And this really cements it. Like I truly hope Florida goes and gets a cup for him. Like couldn't really care less about anyone else on that team, but I hope he gets a cup.
Well, who else is on that team that we love and care about? Sam Reinhart, right?
Who is ready to fucking cash in on this summer, dude. He deserves it, but he's been incredible.
Oh, so good. Yeah. So we got, and then Montour, a defenseman on that team as well. So we got a lot of former Sabres on that Panthers team. Just go get a cup to make up for having to deal with being a Buffalo Sabre for a couple of years. That should make it all even out there. Cool. So good for those guys. We appreciate the leadership, all that stuff, but goodbye. The big one, the sexy one. Casey Middlestat went off to Colorado in return for Mr. Bowen Byram. And my sweet goddamn has Bowen Byram been sick to watch, dude. 3 games, 3 goals. I'm not going to lie, dude. I thought he was going to demand a trade that very first game when I had to watch that poor guy be on the power play going like this, trying to dictate like traffic and tell guys where to go because nobody's moving. And he comes from an incredibly fluid power play over in Colorado. And he's like, what the hell is going on? But dude, this looks like, since this guy came into the fold, looks like a different Sabres team, Jake.
I totally agree. Yeah, I think Bowen Byram does a lot of little things well for an incredibly young and relatively inexperienced defenseman. And you said it right there. You can see it on the power play where he's trying to influence how the Sabres players are interacting with him in the offensive zone on the power play. You sent a clip around from Twitter of him kind of trying to direct traffic that you were just referencing on the power play. And it was maddening to see the inaction from a lot of Sabres players in the zone. There was no movement at all from any player other than Byram, except when they were like chasing a puck into a corner. And that is unacceptable for a team that has the foot speed and the playing style speed that Buffalo can demonstrate. And I think it's 100% the reason why their power play has struggled so much this year. And I think that power play struggling is one of the primary reasons why they're where they are in the standings today.
Yeah.
So seeing him come from a system, so Colorado, each for those that don't know, each team runs 2 power play units, a first unit, second unit. Colorado, with their embarrassment of riches at the defensive position, would run their first power play unit with Cale Makar, who's one of the best defensemen in the league, and then they would run their second power play unit using 3 defensemen because they had that much talent back there and not enough forward depth to really stock a second power play unit. So Bowen Byram is used to playing second power play minutes in that system with 2 other defensemen on the power play, and they still are able to create an environment where you're pressuring the puck and creating movement in the offensive zone to drive scoring chances. And so he comes to Buffalo and is playing on the power play, and he sees none of that. And that absolutely must change. And I hope he's a driver to push that change.
Yeah, so far, dude. I mean, we talk about the eye test with hockey. It literally, dude. So like, I was at a rehearsal last night, but I had the game on my phone, and like every chance I get, I'm trying to watch little snippets of the game. We looked fast as hell last night, dude.
Yeah.
Beat the absolute wheels off of Detroit, who was ahead of us in the standings. Right? I think they're a little bit of a fraudulent team. We can get into that at a different time. Their analytics don't back up their standing position. But all that being said, it's a team that's ahead of us. 7-3 was the score, with Bowen Byram scoring 2 goals. Zach Benson having 3 points, dude. Anyway, dude, like, this team just looks faster and more fluid when you bring in a guy like Bowen Byram.
Yeah.
Dahlin and Bo as a defensive pairing, dude. What a skating wet dream. Like, the way these two move, dude, is like, it is incredible to watch those two skate together.
He's an incredible skater. Yeah, it's one of his main strengths, I think. And I think you need good skaters on your team, but you don't necessarily need fast skating players to be able to play a fast tempo. But he is good at doing both. Like Pittsburgh, for example, is a good example of a team that skates slow. Their guys are a bit older or not as fleet of foot, but they still play a really fast tempo of hockey. They're aggressive and moving the puck up the ice. I think, like Buffalo, I think they have faster players. They have a lot of guys that can turn the burners on, especially on the blue line. There's some really, really talented skaters back there. But I felt like earlier in the year they weren't playing a fast style of hockey, and that's kind of changed in the past little bit, where they're playing a fast tempo, they're pushing other teams' pace, and it's earning them a lot more points than they were earlier in the year. So I don't think he's the only thing that's changed, but he's definitely a huge breath of fresh air on the roster.
I think breath of fresh air is a great way to put it. It's like guys can look at him and be like, "Oh yeah, like that's what we're supposed to be doing."
This is professional hockey.
Instead of watching Erik Johnson freaking drag his prehistoric ass up and down the ice and look like he's ready for a nap by 10 minutes into the first period. So yeah, dude, I think and okay, I know veteran leadership is important on a hockey team, and I'm handing up acknowledging that. But can we please, dude, like, I don't want any more Erik Johnson type signings. Like, I just don't want it, dude. Yeah, go ahead.
The Erik Johnson move felt like a move that a continual contender might make to give the boys a voice that has seen it and been there before. And I understand that you want that for a young team that's pushing for the playoffs, but it felt like it didn't feel like a move to move the needle at all as far as like how the team competed. It was just a leadership move, which again is fine, but I don't like necessarily for the team. I think maybe it was a good experiment, but I'm happy to move on from him and inject a young player that has that same experience. He was on the same team as Erik Johnson winning that cup and was he performed excellently during that playoff run. I mean, I wouldn't say he was the best player on the team during that run, but I think the conversation stops at top 3. He was incredible.
Yeah. Borderline point a game.
Yeah.
In the playoff.
As a 20-year-old, I think.
Yes, dude, that's what I'm saying.
So I think that experience is great to have, and I think I don't think that's the norm. I think that's maybe the ceiling for him, but the floor is also incredibly high as well. I think maybe we get into I think we get into his injury history in a moment here, but I think adding him to the team is a huge boon to bolster the back end.
Yeah, it is. And go ahead, Tommy.
I got two questions here to kind of
Yeah.
put some punctuation here. What's his contract situation like? Is he going to be coming up for a new deal coming up soon here, or is he signed to one already?
I think Jake and I are both scrambling to produce right now. I don't know. I have no idea.
I got you. So on July 1st, 2023. So for this, he signed a 2-year deal. It's about $3 million a year.
Okay.
$3.5 million a year. So he's signed for next year as well, and then he'll be a restricted free agent.
Okay. So then they got this year is kind of the trial, and then next year, let's get a full off season, see what looks like with a full season, then go from there.
Yeah, his cap hit the next 23-24. His cap hit is $3,850,000. Next season, same exact cap hit, $3,850,000. 25-26 season, he's an RFA.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
So you're right, Angela. So 2 more full years of him under contract.
Heck yeah.
No, only one more full year, right? Next year, and then the following season is when he's in RFA.
Excuse me. All right.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yep. All good, dude. All good. Tommy.
Yeah. So
Second
then
question.
you guys all kind of all season, one of your biggest gripes has been that this team doesn't seem to be all constructed in a way where we have all the pieces we need. We have lots of the same kind of players. Does he diversify the Sabres roster, or is he kind of more of the same? Like, what does he fit in, right? Does he start to give you guys some excitement for changing the roster structure next year, or you guys are both giggling? So I'd be interested to see what happens here.
Well, I think, and let me guess, Jake, well, if you're giggling, because I know why I'm giggling, and I think I'm giggling because he makes me grumpy, because I think he's the same type of player in that regard, and maybe Jake feels differently, but that's why I'm giggling, because I'm thrilled about the move. He's been sick, but he is another high-end skill, not super dirty, gritty player. Jake, do you feel differently?
I had a different answer, but the similar sentiment. So
okay.
So Tom, in the NHL, you have a left defense and right defense, and typically, in a perfect world, you'd have 3 left defensemen that shoot left, and then 3 right defensemen that shoot right. So the Sabres have a glut of left shooting defensemen: Dahlin, Power, Ryan Johnson, now Bowen Byram. So there's 4 right there. You only have 3 defensive pairs.
Okay.
So he's a left shot defenseman that the Sabres have a lot of. He's a speedy puck moving defenseman, which personally I don't think you can have enough of. So I'm not mad about that. I think it does beg the question, where does the defensive core go after this season? Because he is a left shot defenseman. And I do want to highlight this. One of the main reasons that he was maybe on the way out with Colorado and vice versa is he expressed a desire in Colorado that, look, I know my skill level. I know where I want to be. I want to be a number 1 defenseman in the NHL one day. But this schlub, Cale Makar, who, Tom, is one of the best defensemen, if not the best defenseman in the league.
For my money, he's the 3rd best player in the league. It goes McDavid, McKinnon, Cale Makar. For me.
Fair enough. He's that good. He's
insane.
Good. So he is a left shot defenseman playing in Colorado. He's eating up power play 1 minutes in Colorado. You can book him for 24 minutes a night, every night, in and out. So Bo Byram said, look, this guy that's 4 years older than me is taking up all my ice time. I want to be a number 1 defenseman in the league one day. So we acquire him. Who do we have on the team already? We have Rasmus Dahlin, who is already a number 1 defenseman, who is young and is eating up those minutes. And then you have Owen Power, who's 21 years old and is hopefully going to progress into being an excellent left shot defenseman. So where does Bo Byram fit in that? And that's a question I have. I'm not looking for an answer, but I think one of the solutions, and that we've seen in the past few games that he's been here, Rasmus Dahlin is a left shot defenseman, but is very comfortable and plays very well playing on the right side. So if you can allow Bowen Byram to be his defense partner and play on the left while Dahlin plays on the right, I think that's an excellent way forward, where you keep Byram happy by playing number 1 minutes while Dahlin flanks him on the right-hand side, and you have 2 excellent puck movers on the back end. And I've said this before on this podcast. I don't want someone like Dahlin paired with someone that's like an old, grizzled defensive defenseman. I want him paired with another puck mover. It allows both players to move the puck better if you can put them in a position where the passes that they're getting from their defense partner are more beneficial to them breaking out into the neutral and offensive zone. With that said, I'm rambling, I'm sorry. But with that said, my concern there becomes, is Owen Power a number 1 overall pick, left shot defenseman? Is he okay with being a second pair defenseman on a team? So those are the kind of questions I think the Sabres need to ask themselves in the next couple of years as these contracts kind of come to a head. I don't know if I'm not saying this is a guarantee, but I don't know if it's too crowded back there with top flight talent on the back end, but I guess we'll have to see.
You make such good points, dude. It's so compelling. Now, here would be my counter, right? And we're already spending too much time on the Sabres. There's so much to get through. Oh my God. Here would be
Get another beer, folks.
Here would be my counter to that one, right? To me, in a perfect world, an NHL offense, there's so much fluidity and there's so much motion that it doesn't matter what handedness your defensemen are, right? Because to me, in a perfect world, right, your defensemen are down low. They're below goal line extended. They trade with the wingers go up to the point, right? Like hockey's such a fluid game. Like, and I think that's the Sabres' biggest issue right now. Wherever we are, we plant roots. There's not enough movement. So for me, I worry less about the handedness because I want to see an offense where kind of it seems like what Bo was talking about, or at least looking for on the power play, right? Just more fluidity. You're never in the same spot for a super long time.
Nor should you be. It's
right.
More predictable. It's easier for your opponent to negate what you're about to do. Yeah,
exactly. So like if and that's why you to your point, Jake, the offseason moves or the potential for offseason moves for the decor, I personally, and this is just my own opinion, I don't mind if we have 6 left shot defensemen as long as that fluidity is happening, right? And guys are moving, because I think at the end of the day, it matters way more that, like you said, it's easy to defend when guys aren't moving, right? I think at the end of the day, the most important thing is that in the offensive zone, there's a ton of fluidity going on. Guys are moving, and you're never in the same spot for more than 2 to 3 passes. Like,
yeah, at the most.
So that's how I feel about all that stuff. I mean, there's certainly like right shot defensemen are a premium in the NHL for whatever reason. The ratio seems to be like 7-1 left shot to right shot. So which is weird, but yeah, man.
Almost any team needs guys to play on their offside, which is not uncommon. So
yeah,
Dahlin's great at it, but I do wonder if I don't think this is the only move the Sabres make between now and season opening next year.
Oh, no way.
Certainly other moves. I wonder if anyone gets pushed off the blue line. And I'm not talking about Dahlin, Byram, or Power, but I'm wondering, like, does this force out Jokiharju? Does this force out Ryan Johnson in some kind of move?
And you just said the 2 guys that I could see being gone, right?
Who are legitimate NHL players.
100%. Ryan Johnson especially. But like the only other guy I could see maybe going is Sammy, but he just signed that big contract.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't think he's gone. I do. If I could pick into Kevin Adams' brain, I wonder if and how much he regrets that Samuelsson massive contract today. If he regrets it at all, I don't know. Because when he signed it, Samuelsson was stapled to Dahlin's pair, and they were a shutdown pair, and they played really good hockey at the time. Does he regret it at all at this point? I don't know, but I think that contract is probably not movable. I think he's probably a Sabre for a long time, which is I'm not mad about, but it does. I'm only upset about it because it limits your opportunities to do other things. So I don't know if those 2 move on, but we'll see, I guess. But if those guys are traded again, like I said with Mittelstadt, I don't want them traded. Like, all right, Jokiharju's gone, and we got a 2nd round pick from him. That would be a failure to me.
I'm set on picks.
Like, trade one of those NHL defenseman with a forward prospect to get a better player for your roster in the forward
Buchnevich.
group. Yeah, dude, sign me up. Honestly, yeah,
I would. Okay, so ready, dude? Just 2 seconds. I would not even blink at this, dude. Yoki, first round pick, and Noah Ostlund for Buchnevich. Book it. I'm good. Give it to me.
Oh,
First round pick
yeah,
is steep,
I would do
but
that.
I would do it.
Do that. It is, but he's a good player. He's a good player, and the asking price is high. I would consider that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so Jake, it's not all flowers with Bo Byram. He does have a substantial injury history, specifically to do with concussions. He's had, I think he said, is it 3 now he's had?
It's 2 or 3 for sure.
2 or
It's knocked
3.
him out for a lot of time. He's lost a lot of regular season play.
Yes.
I think everybody remembers his Stanley Cup run that we talked about, but his regular seasons have been maybe not the most remarkable, and it's been hampered by injury. Yeah.
I think the most games he's played in a season is like 50 something, like 51 or 52, something like that. So that is something to keep in the back pocket. It is a gamble that Kevyn Adams took with this because, I mean, if the truth is, right, if Bo Byram just keeps getting concussions, we lose this trade 1,000 times over, and Colorado's off and running to another Stanley Cup with Casey Middlestat, right? So it is a risk, but it's a risk that I'm okay with taking because, and you know what, Jake, I can't even be pissed about it because based on what you and I discussed last week, a lot of that conversation was circled around, by the way, shout out you, because you were the one that initially pasted Casey Middlestat back for a top 4 defenseman. So good on you. But if, you know, like if he can't go, like the best ability is availability.
Yeah,
right.
It is.
So it is a risk, but it's a worthy risk.
It's high risk, high reward, and I think I'm fine with it. I'm okay with that because I think the discussion that happened internally was Casey Middlestat is not going to be a long-term signed player for our team. Let's get something for him before we just lose him, right? So I'm okay with that. Go out and get a hot like Byram can be an incredible player. And I think it's important to remember, yes, there are a lot of examples of players getting hampered with head injuries that don't make it to their full potential and fade away into obscurity. I don't wish that for anyone, but it is a reality. But there's other examples of players and defensemen even having injury history, head injuries earlier in their career, and then progressing and putting those injuries behind them to be a top defenseman in the league. We talked about the team already. Okposo went there. Aaron Ekblad, a lot of head injuries and injury history earlier in his career, missed a ton of time. He's one of the best defensemen on one of the best teams in the league right now. So there's paths forward. Injury history is exactly what it says. It's history. It doesn't have to be what happens moving forward. So hopefully all the best to Byram and hope he kind of stays out of the press box.
Yeah. Chris Pronger, too, another guy that had like injuries early and I think pretty universally considered one of the best defensemen ever. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to keep us moving here, Jake. You and I could do this for days, but real quick, we have to discuss the fact the Sabres are making a push. Jake, I'm going to count us down. The question is, are you and I buying the hype? And then it's going to be 3, 2, 1, answer. You ready?
I'm ready.
Are we buying the Buffalo Sabres playoff hype? Ready? 3, 2, 1. No. No, they're making a push. It's fun. It's exciting. UPL is playing out of his mind. I had a coworker today tell me if we had this year's UPL last year, we make the playoffs with like 104 points was his guess. And I don't know if we get quite that high, but I think we probably make the playoffs if we have this year's UPL. It's an interesting thing to consider. UPL's been monstrous, but I think we're probably riding the wave of a Bo and Byram acquisition, and the guys are hype. In order to make it feasible, we have to win out the rest of this week, right? Because we play the Isles Thursday, who are in the second wild card spot. And then we play Detroit again on Saturday at 12:30, who is one of the 3 teams that are between, or 2 teams between us and that second wild card spot. So for me to buy any of that, you got to win out this week. I was adamant that we were going to get spanked last night, and we won 7-3. So who knows? But I'm still not buying the hype. I've been a fan long enough to know that when it really, really, really matters, this Sabres team doesn't show up. So I am still operating under the impression we're not even going to sniff the playoffs. You heard it here first from Nigel and Jake. Don't buy the hype. You will only end up heartbroken. Anything else to add there, Jake?
They're not going to. No, they're not going to make the playoffs. I'll guarantee that. It's too far out. It's too far gone. The inconsistencies from the entire year have been there the entire year, and they're not going away. This is a team that has won 3 games in a row exactly one time, and it wasn't that long ago. I don't think they have it in them to keep that going. If they do win out this week and win against the Islanders and the Red Wings, that would put them on a 4-game win streak. Edmonton, Detroit, New York, Detroit again. That's a huge step. That's great. But then they go out west and they play Seattle, Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary. And then they come back and then they play Ottawa, New Jersey, Toronto. Those aren't easy teams to win against. I don't to make the playoffs, you have to get to at least 90 points. There's almost no seasons on record where a team makes the playoffs with less than 90 points. They're at 67 points right now. If they were to get to 90 points exactly, they would have to go 10-3-3 in their last 16 games to get there. There's just no way that this team that's shown so much inconsistency can go 10-3-3 in any stretch of games, let alone during the playoff push when everybody's playing hard. Everybody wants to make the playoffs. They're playing teams that are fighting to make the playoffs. It's just not going to happen. You are so deluded if you think this team is making the playoffs, and I will stick to that opinion.
I'll say this: I desperately hope that you and I are wrong. And that's should we should have a punishment that we decide right now. If the Sabres make the playoffs, what are Jake and I going to do? We're going to shotgun on air?
Oh no, it's in a whole blue light 12-pack on air, one episode.
Oh my God, you guys are thinking small. I was ready to burn down the police station next time. They respect the playoffs. That's how confident I am, boys.
And just in case there are any police officers that see this, we are just kidding.
Not arsonists. No.
We's a strong word, but
yeah, that's true. Maybe Jake did it. I know I didn't. Alrighty, Jake. Any final, real quick thoughts from the Sabres?
I don't think so. We should probably move on.
I'm empty. Tom, get us going. I'll be right back in 3 seconds.
All right, pal. Well, folks, that's the boys keeping it short. So yeah. I love you guys. I just love how smart you guys are about hockey. It's so cool. It's like, man, you guys could literally just talk for days. It's freaking amazing.
Smart or have poured way too many hours into a meaningless thing.
I don't know if this is meaningless because you clearly identify quite a bit. This is right? Like, I don't know. I would call this fandom is not meaningless. Oh man, we're getting into the philosophy here. Fandom that's not at all. Fandom is not.
Now Tom's a philosophizer.
Right, it's not. No, this is what we enjoy. These are things that we can identify with. These are things that we take into our personality and our character. And yeah, no, I don't think so. Anyway, all right. Wow. Oh, okay. Reel back in, folks. So that was just the Buffalo Sabres half of the week. That since Tuesday. Okay, everybody. It is now. We're now going to roll over to the Buffalo Bills side, and what a roller coaster we've had. And I'm going to kind of try and there's a lot that's happened. I'm going to try and make this into a little bit of a story, so that way we can have some flow to our conversation. It started with Tuesday or Wednesday. Well, we recorded Tuesday, so Wednesday, I think. Came across the ticker tape that Ryan Bates has been traded to the Chicago Bears for a 5th-round pick. Initially, it was like, oh man, like darn, Rick Bates. He's like a good player. He's really solid. He's been very reliable. He's very he can be the first one off the bench across anywhere on the line. Like a very valuable player. But he didn't really make his way onto the field this past season. So, man, maybe he's gonna go in for him. Let's go get him a starting spot. Like he can play, get some more playing time, and for a 5th-round pick back, like that's not bad. Then more came. Bills Mafia really took it to the chin last week with the following players all cut. I'm gonna start with the easy ones. Saron Neal cut. Deontay Hardy cut. Nyheim Hines, cut. Folks,
I feel like I'm gonna cry.
I know.
Damn it.
Jordan Poyer, cut. Mitch Morse, cut. Trey White, cut. Everybody take a breath.
Yep.
Everybody take a breath. It's been a couple days. I'm sure we've all kind of come, like our heart rates have come back down. But man, yeah, I was right. Like I get emotional about it. I'm wearing my Trey White jersey right now. I got to wear it one more time on the pod before it's going back up here on the wall next to Bees. Like, man, what? This is clearly a changing of the guard, right? This is us. Not us. Us. Bills Mafia.
Us.
Brandon Beane leading the way, turning the page. Trey White was the very first round pick by this regime. Before Brandon Beane was even in Buffalo, it was Sean McDermott picked him first round. Jordan Poyer came in, was a free agency pickup, was not a significant player. He was a middle of the roster player where he came from and turned into one of the best safety tandems in the league. One player who is not a cut, but is not returning is Micah Hyde. I just want to include him in this conversation because I think he deserves a spot here. He was a free agent and he just wasn't re-signed, but he and Jordan Poyer, in my mind, are shoo-ins for Wall of Fame on One Bills Drive. Like, what do you think, Nige?
They should be. The Wall of Fame thing is weird, man, because there are some okay, Kyle Williams isn't up there yet. Like, I'm not sure what to make of the Wall of Fame stuff yet. You have to imagine
they're on the list. They're on the list, right?
Yeah, they're on the list. Exactly. But
in Bills Mafia's mind, who cares I don't know what the Pagulas are doing. They need to get that rolling again. But in our minds, right, they're Wall of Fame type players.
And I want to specifically for you and I, Tom. So we're 31. Like our age group, right? These are the guys that pulled us out of the shit, right?
Yeah.
Because all you and I know prior to guys like Poyer and Hyde coming is 7-9, 8-8, 9-7 seasons, right? Like perennial.
Book it.
Since you and I were born in 93. So these are the guys, right? That I don't want to speak for you. These are the guys that put me in a position where I felt like I could take pride in being a Bills fan.
Oh, dude, absolutely. I think all of us did, right?
And I think for as long as and it's just my age, right? It's just where I came in into the world and all that stuff. But these guys will forever, until the day you put me in the ground, will forever hold a significant spot in my heart as a fan, because they were the ones that, like I just said, pulled us out of the shit.
Yeah, dude. And this includes Mitch Morse. Like, Mitch Morse was probably
Absolutely
my favorite press conference player to watch.
Oh,
like the
so
guy
good.
always came in. He was always level-headed. He had really wise things to say. He was never really buttered anything up. He never shied away from the tough questions. He was a leader, right? And Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, Trey White, all these guys were
Same
that way.
Story. Yep.
Right. Same story. And I think you hit it on the head, where these are the guys who gave us something to believe in and gave us a reason to believe in this team. And really we could identify with. I mean, heck, we just got off our philosophizing there a second ago, right? Of fandom. Like, it's players like that who encourage us and help us really start to identify with the team because of the way they speak, the way they carry themselves, and the way they play in the field, or the rink, right? Like, it's both ways. Like, it's how you carry yourself is a big deal, and it's something you can connect with, and I think that's important. So, man, these guys, this is clearly a change into the guard. Brandon Beane clearly made decisions that something needed to change. And unfortunately, these guys were on the receiving end of that. But I want to take a quick moment before we go flying through our gazillion other news hits here. I want to take a moment. Can we do a little cheers to these guys?
I was just gonna say, can we toast these guys?
Yeah.
Specifically for me, Poyer, Hyde, Trey White, because those three guys came in at the same time almost. And
yeah, man.
Yeah. Cheers to the boys.
Cheers to the boys.
All of them. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for everything.
From the bottom of our hearts, honestly, right? This is a big deal. This is not. I wish you best. They have now continued. Many of them have re-signed. So we wish you the best. There's a lot of some Bills Mafia who is not. However, I am amongst the Bill members of Bills Mafia who are wishing you the best.
Yeah.
And really, want to see you do well. But man, I can't wait for you to come lead the charge in on a game.
Oh, it's gonna be so sick, bro. When Jordan Poyer leads the charge, I pray to God that I'm at that game, dude. Because when he does the "Where would you rather be," or "Where would you rather be than right here, right now," that's gonna be the whole the stadium. The new stadium's just gonna fall.
Just fall. They're gonna need another one.
They're gonna get a new one.
Sorry, Tara.
Third one in like 8 years.
So, just to quickly hit the news points, because man, this is gonna be a long episode, folks. Like I said, I was not kidding. Go grab another beer as you're listening, please, or another cup of coffee wherever you're at.
Too late.
Jordan Poyer was signed by Miami, 1 year, $2 million. Mitch Morse signed by the Jaguars, 2 year, $10.5 million, $7 million guaranteed. So a slightly more significant contract. Siran Neal also signed by Miami, 1 year. Nyheim Hines signed with the Browns with good old Ken Dorsey, 1 year, up to $3.5 million. Deontay Hardy has not signed, and Trey White has not signed. So,
can I ask a quick question?
Yes, Jake.
All right, so Jordan Poyer signed by Miami, $2 million for 1 year. That does not strike me as an incredibly large amount of money for the NFL.
No.
So, because he signed for that much, do you think it was more the Bills saying, "Look, we appreciate you and respect what you've done for the franchise, but we think we have better options out there," rather than a cost issue?
Oh, absolutely. Sorry, Nige, I'm gonna hop in here.
No, go.
Yeah. This was Brandon Beane making a choice that we are not going to re-sign over 30-year-old players to deals and continue to hang on to the past. And as much as it hurts, I do at the end of the day think that he's correct. Right, okay. Man. I wish we could have all these guys play for 100 years.
I wish Jordan Poyer was 25 years old for the rest of my life.
Let's freaking go, right? But he's not, and he can't be. So yes. And to that end, I actually texted this to Nige like this past week. I think this is the moment that we find out if Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott, and this front office is here for the long haul. This is the moment of they did one build, right? They brought in free agents. They drafted 7 years of draft classes. This is the moment. Now, can you do it again? Can you sustain this? Get another crop of players. We have many young players who are really, really exciting and going to develop into these bigger contracts, going to need to be re-signed. Do we sign them? Do we let them walk? Like, these decisions are coming up. And this is the moment that we find out if this version of the Buffalo Bills is going to stick around, or if in a couple of years we're going to be part of that carousel.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a really good point, Tom. Beane came in 2017, or was it 2018?
17.
He's got a couple misses for sure. Cody Ford immediately comes to mind as a monstrous second round miss. That being said, dude, the sample size of Brandon Beane doing the correct thing is significantly bigger than the sample size of him wildly screwing up. I think if you polled fans in the league, right, 95% of them would go to war for Brandon Beane to be their GM because of what he did for the Bills.
Absolutely.
So I think, all this to say, I have every bit of confidence in Brandon Beane that he's going to keep this thing afloat. I like everything that he's done so far, because I agree with you. As much as it sucks and it stings and it hurts, because, I mean, you and I are two emotional guys. We become attached to these players, right? Like,
can I keep him?
I feel so attached to Trey White, dude, and for literally no reason.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that I love this football team. But dude, it's just, man, this is where you find out. You said it. I don't have to keep going. You said it. This is where you find out if they can do it again. And they're either going to or they're not. But I've loved everything that he's done. And even though it sucks, I agree it's the right call. The Mitch Morse move is the right call. Micah has got a severed neck borderline. Poe is, we saw his first season of being less effective. Like, these guys have given the organization so much. But the only one that I feel like has a lot of game left is Mitch Morse. But
yeah,
Poe and Hyde, they're at the end of their run, dude, and it was a hell of a run. But it's time.
It was. I agree. I think that this could get into a 24-hour long podcast if we start to, I want to talk about the moves that were made, and then we can talk about the ramifications and maybe in a future episode.
Cool.
Because Mitch Morse is gone, that means that things are moving on the line. And I think we should get to that in another episode.
We already know what's going to happen with Mitch Morse, though, right? Supposedly.
Yes, but I think again we could go down this rabbit hole, and then I gotta scroll, folks. I'm scrolling down this podcast doc, and we haven't even touched it. So
Sorry,
we'll get to the ramifications later. Let's talk about what happened. Okay.
Damn it.
I know. So, we've had all those players cut, mostly because we were $50 million over the cap. Like there was no way that we could operate going into the new league year, which I think happened today, right? I think it was today at 4 p.m. The new
4
league year
p.m.
started.
today, baby.
Hey, Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
So wait, real quick. Do you have to be cap compliant on today
Yes.
at 4 p.m.? You have to get under
today
it?
at 4 p.m., which is why all those moves had to be made.
And it also seems like the Chargers are circumnavigating all the rules because I don't think they're under the cap at this point.
Who knows? I don't freaking know what the Chargers are doing. We hardly know what the Buffalo Bills are doing. So, to get there, a couple things happens. To get cap compliance, you need to do a couple things. You need to cut players. You need to renegotiate with players, or you can extend players, right? To change their contracts so that their salary hit changes what's going to be part of the equation. Excuse me. So we've had some cuts. We also had some contract restructures. Connor McGovern has restructured his contract, so that was a big deal. Josh Allen converted a bunch of his contract. Well, Brandon Beane converted a bunch of his contract. It's all part of the contract. Josh didn't really have much of a choice in the matter. He already knew it was coming.
Wait, real quick on the Josh Allen one. It's a big deal, the Josh Allen restructure, because there was another almost $7 million for Brandon Beane to open up there. And he could have done about 23 million. He only freed up about 16 million with the Josh Allen restructure, which is significant. I wanted to point that out.
Right. So hopefully he's being cognizant, because if whatever you do now and to make more room, you got to pay for it later. It doesn't disappear. So what he's doing is making the future years slightly easier. So, which is good. I hope that Brandon Beane is being smart here. And then Rasul Douglas also restructured his contract. We've had a couple extensions. Dion Dawkins gave all of us a heart attack by first off putting out an Instagram message saying goodbye, and then 10 minutes later being having an announcement that he got a $60.5 million extension, making him one of the top 5 paid left tackles in the league, and he deserves it. So all of those moves made some room for all of those were restructures. Man, we have more moves. Brandon Beane, in all of his glory, I don't know how he convinced 2 players who are making $1 gazillion on this team have somehow given up money. I don't know why. I don't know how. I don't know who. I don't know where. I don't know why. Von Miller and Dawson Knox have both renegotiated their contracts, not restructured. Restructured means they still make the same amount of money, but it just looks different. Comes in a different pile of boxes, different pile of coins. This was, hey, we took pay cuts to stay on this team. It must have been a conversation of, hey, look, Rick Vaughn, dude, your ACL is ripped in half. You're 37 and a half years old. Like, we need you to give us some money back, or we're going to cut you. I don't know what these conversations were like. But both of them, Von Miller and Dawson Knox, Von saved the Bills about $8.5 million. Dawson saved the Bills about $5 million by renegotiating. And honestly, what happened was their contracts got turned into not likely to be earned incentives, meaning, do they do X, Y, or Z this year that they didn't do last year? And if they do those things, they get more money. So they can essentially get the money that they were going to be getting, but it needs to happen. Right. It needs to. Well, hopefully it does. Hopefully it means they come out and they both have insane years, but it doesn't count against this year's cap. That's the big deal. So it saves us the money. Go ahead, Mitch.
When we talk about incentives, it's like Von Miller gets X amount of dollars if he hits 10 sacks this year, right?
Yes.
So those are what we're talking about with the incentives. Dawson Knox needs to have X amount of catches in order to get some of that money again. So if he gets 70 catches or whatever, he gets this bonus. Those
And
are the incentives that we're talking about there.
It's not likely to be earned because they didn't do it in the previous season.
Correct.
Vaughn clearly had his big injury. Dawson had a couple injuries, right? He had a wrist injury with surgery and stuff.
Yep.
So he did not have as productive of a year as he was expected to.
Mhm.
So in theory, they can still earn their money. However, they didn't have to do that. So that's a big deal.
Right.
Okay. Those are all the things. Made some room. We are now cap compliant. And honestly, with more room than you might think, right? Going into free agency, I don't know. We haven't really had much time to discuss it. We did a little bit, but we didn't really talk money wise. I was not expecting many big moves. I'm still not expecting huge moves, but man, we had more room to do than what we kind of thought.
Totally, dude.
So Nige, you get to pick. Do you want us to do with the new signees or the re-signed players? Give me a category.
Let's go with the re-signed guys. We'll end on the exciting stuff. It's not that exciting. Actually, can I flip that? The re-signings are more exciting than the free agents that we've signed.
Okay, let's start there.
That's a good sign, right? You got talent on your team that you want to keep.
Exactly. Yes. Bingo, Jake. Hell yeah, Torpedo.
All right, Nige, I'm gonna say the player. You got to give me a little bit of a reaction. Jake, interject when you want. Mitch Trubisky signed a 2-year deal, $5.25 million, 2.7 guaranteed. What do you think?
Completely indifferent. Wish we kept Kyle Allen for the continuity. Cool. We had Mitch Trubisky in the past, but it's tough with him, man, because he's only ever been in dog shit offensive beer air bubble. Dog shit offensive situations, right? Matt Canada last couple of years with Pittsburgh, Chicago.
Yeah, it's like silly. Yeah, so
it's tough to know what you have with him, but
there's a little continuity. I mean, but he's started more than 50 games in the NFL. He has a winning record, and he has playoff starts. So of backup QBs that you can pay $2.5 million, I take it, right?
Yeah, totally.
Matt Hawk has signed a 1-year, $1.1 million deal. Sam Martin is still on the roster. What do you think of that?
I am hoping since last
punters for those folks out there, those are punters. Matt Hawk, punter. Sam Martin, punter.
Jake's like, thank you. For my money, I think this is just so. Last year, Brandon Beane brought in no competition for Tyler Bass and for Sam Martin, and both of those guys had down seasons. So I think you will see this season Brandon Beane bring in competition for those guys. I think Sam Martin's going to be the punter for this team. I think Matt Hawk is competition in camp.
Is it possible that our punter, who is also the holder for Tyler Bass, who had a kind of a disappointing season this year with Sam Martin?
Don't say it.
But he had a freaking great year with Matt Hawk as a holder. Does that that's got to play into it, right?
Maybe one of those kickers scores points, the other one doesn't.
The other one doesn't. And Matt Hawk did a
great holder,
middle of the road job as a punter.
It could be. I don't know.
Right?
It could be.
Hey, Sam, figure out how to hold for Tyler Bass.
Yeah,
that's all I need you to do.
Just catch it and hold it.
Okay. Linebacker Nicholas Moreau from the Philadelphia Eagles was signed. 1-year deal. No real money details on Spot Rack, but I know it's not for a lot. Thoughts?
It's an older Tyrell Dodson. Bad in coverage, good in the run game, good blitzer.
Cool. But not a huge deal. Linebacker
depth. It's good because it's competition for Dorian Williams, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to go into the season just assuming that Dorian Williams is your number 3 linebacker. You want every guy on the team to feel like their spot is under the gun, unless you're Josh Allen or Steph Diggs, right? But like these guys, like you want there to be competition, right? You don't want Dorian Williams, his second year in the league, walking in being like, yeah, I'm the number 3 linebacker on this team. You bring in Nick Moreau for that reason in and of itself, and he might win out. You never know. So,
correct.
It's not a big deal, but it's important and necessary.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Cool. And then finally, the other newly signed, was wide receiver Mac Hollins from the Las Vegas Raiders. 1 year, up to $3 million.
Yeah, tough to be excited about it because I was excited about Trent Sherfield last year, and he was a complete letdown. Mac Collins is 2 years removed from a 700 receiving yard season with Vegas.
Touchdowns.
4 touchdowns.
Yards, 4 touchdowns.
So like if you're wide receiver 4, you take that 10 times out of 10. So hopefully he can come in. If he can contribute more than Trent Sherfield, then I'm stoked. I think this is where you're getting your big body, run game blocking wide receiver.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Yep, correct. He's also has a bunch of special teams experience, and he's been a team captain, in college and the NFL. So I think as a depth at the bottom of the roster, 4, 5, 6 wide receiver,
awesome
take
signing.
it for $3 million. That's nothing, right? We take that.
Dude.
All right. Now the re-signs. These were fun. I'm going to start with. I apologize. We think all these are fun. Everybody, those players who are listening. But these ones are less fun. Quinton Morris, tight ends, re-signed 1 year. Cam Lewis signed to a 2-year, $4 million deal.
Real quick, do you think there's a chance Cam Lewis starts with Taylor Rapp?
Well, at this point, yes, because there's nobody else on the roster. It's him or DeMar Hamlin. And I mean, between them, it's a 50-50 flip a coin for me.
Yeah. Okay. Keep going. I was just curious.
So I'm hoping that there's more to do.
He didn't sign for starter money.
Correct.
So,
but he's got continuity in the system. Sean McDermott loves the guy. He can start continuity. And he can honestly back up. He's been a backup quarterback before too, or even slot corner. So the guy's got versatility, and I think that's fine at the bottom of the roster.
Totally.
The other one that was signed also at safety was Taylor Rapp, 3-year, $10.62 million, $4.85 million guaranteed. It is technically a 3-year deal, but it's kind of a 1 year and we'll see kind of deal. So at first, everybody was freaking out because it was like, oh my God, 3 years, $14 million. That was a wild deal for a safety who didn't really show us anything. But details came out. I think that's fine. The guy, again, for continuity and where we're at, we can't go get the big marquee signings. I think that's fine.
You're not going to go get Simmons. You're not going to go get Curl. You can't afford these guys right now. And
I'm still holding out.
For who?
For either of those guys.
Well, Curl signed today.
He did.
He's going to be a commander.
Well, have fun. Enjoy your money. Enjoy losing.
Enjoy losing. Exactly. It's so true. But yeah, dude, these are the kind of deals that this is where the Bills are at, and this is where you want to be in your life cycle. When you're signing these players, it's because you're sick, right? It's because your team is really good,
right?
So this is a good place to be. It's not sexy and exciting, but it's a good place to be. Keep on going, Tommy.
Another one that I was really excited about is David Edwards coming back on a 2-year, $6 million, $2.95 million guaranteed. The guy was awesome O-line depth. He came in as the big tight ends. I think he's going to be starting in at guard. I know we were going to talk ramifications on a future pod, but with Ryan Bates out the door and Mitch Morse out the door, I think this gives David Edwards a road right onto that starting O-line.
Hell yeah, it does.
But glad to have him back because he's a good guy, great player. Has starting experience, a lot of it. So
yeah,
100%. I think he is a viable starting guard.
You just saw Robert Hunt sign for all the money in the world as a guard. Dude. So to get David Edwards for $3 million a year, sign me the hell up.
Jake, he's talking about Robert Hunt was a Dolphins guard, and he re-signed somewhere for 5 years, $100 million.
Yeah, north of 20, which for guards that's tackle type money, dude.
That is insane.
Guards don't make that money.
Leah's upset about it too.
Leah's pissed, I have to imagine.
You know how many freaking cookies that could buy? Deion Dawkins just re-signed for 20 point something, like just a little bit more than that at starting left tackle, which is a premier, marquee, one of the big positions on the offense. So
protecting the blind side of the quarterback. No, not to mention Josh Allen as a top 3 quarterback in the NFL.
Right. So, now, Nige, I'm gonna cue you up for this next one, and then I gotta go. My poor dog would out of the room. Next one. Let's do AJ Epinesa. I'm gonna save the biggest, most exciting one for last. AJ Epinesa signed to a 2-year base value of $7 million, up to $20 million. What do you think?
Yeah, baby. Epi, dude. It's a necessary signing for the team right now because at this point in time, you've got Greg Rousseau, you got Von Miller, you got Kingsley Jonathan, and then really, who else do you have at this point? So having AJ Epinesa, I think there is a really insanely high chance that your starting DNs next year are Greg Rousseau and AJ Epinesa. It is going to depend on what Von Miller we get at camp. The only thing I'll say about Von Miller is this contract renegotiation that he did. It is him betting on himself, right? It is essentially what he's doing here because the conversion of the salary, like Tom said, went into the incentives. So he's like, hell yeah, dude, I'm confident enough in myself to hit these incentives and get that money back. So if right now I can do these things to help my football team and recoup that money later, sign me up. So hopefully there's still, at least emotionally, some fire left in that tank. Who knows what we get from Von Miller this year? Khalil Mack is north of 30 and just had 17 sacks last year. So it's not impossible. We don't know what we're going to get, though, is the big thing.
Von Miller positive and confident? No.
Yeah, imagine, right? What world am I in? Earth, on Earth.
AJ Epinesa had a great year.
He did.
Yeah, great for him. I don't know if you.
Sorry, that's maybe what I meant. Like he exceeded his own expectations. Maybe is a better way to say it.
Yes, that's the great way to put it. Yeah, totally. Because he's not a top tier defensive end by any stretch of the imagination, but he is serviceable, more than serviceable. And in the last 2 years, dude, at least 6 sacks and a couple turnovers, including some picks off of Patrick Mahomes. So, like, you know, he just gets those big arms in the air. Yeah. So, like, I mean, for the money that we signed him, which as far as starting defensive ends go, is absolute peanuts. I think this is a great move by Brandon Beane.
I think the value, and especially because what's guaranteed is not a lot, and he has incentives to get to a whole bunch. Like, dude, go get it. And I in an interview, he even came out and said, like, man, I was kind of debating 2 years is, you know, that doesn't really set me up for super long. But what it does is it lets him be able to sign another contract before he's 30. So
totally,
like, man, dude, I would love for him to go out and outplay this contract, and we have to like really decide, like, do we need to sign this guy and like keep him around? Like,
hell yeah,
please, I would love that.
Make
me want to go get a jersey, dude. Like,
I like that.
And then finally, my number one pick of the week was Daquan Jones, 2 years, $16 million, coming back, baby.
Tom, who benefits the most from this re-signing?
Our lovely, speedy, but kind of tiny linebackers.
Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard are creaming their jeans, dude, because that big blocker soaking Daquan Jones is back. Yeah, what's really important for people to understand is when you're a team like the Bills and you've got undersized linebackers, right? Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard, insanely athletic, insanely fast, insanely good in coverage, but not huge, right? You need to keep offensive linemen off of them. And when you have a really good one-tech defensive tackle, that's the guy that's usually taking most of the double teams, right? When you've got that legitimately awesome one-tech defensive tackle, all you are doing is soaking up blockers and keeping bodies off of Milano and Terrell Bernard. And when those two cats can run around free, you are talking about a nasty Buffalo Bills defense, because those two guys, whether it's run or pass, are freaks. You keep them clean, and they're going to do some serious damage. This is a huge re-sign for the Bills.
Love it. He's pumped to be back. I mean, he's a Western New York native, dude. Like,
he's stoked to be back.
And I love that.
I do too.
Yeah, really happy for him. Glad he's back. Glad he got a decent deal. Like, that's like top 8 D tackle money in the league. Like,
absolutely.
That's just where the D tackle contracts are at. So I know it doesn't look like $1 gazillion like some of these other players are getting, but like he's paid significantly well. So pretty happy about that. And like you said, I think that does open up some things for our linebacker friends.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before we close things out, I want to quickly go and look at our little to-do list and priorities of players that we wanted to kind of positions that we wanted to go look at. So I'm going to share our documents right now.
Ta-da!
Thank you. Can you do that for everything I do? Just like, making eggs in the morning. Like,
drum roll for your eggs, dude.
yeah, dude, that'd be great. So we had in this order: wide receiver, D tackle, D end, safety, cornerback, running back 2, QB 2. What can we cross off of this list?
I feel like QB2 is at the bottom, but it's gone.
It's solved. Yeah, it's solved.
But it's taken care of. So yes, good answer. Thank you, Jake.
And the honest truth, Tom, is nothing else, because you still need that wide receiver too, desperately.
Yep.
It looks like that's going to come from the draft.
Which, let's go.
Yeah, I'm
just
stoked
salivating. Jake, I don't know if how much. So have you heard about this wide receiver crop coming in? None. It's very good. It's incredible. There are
0.
There are, I don't know, 10 players who could be picked in the first round at wide receiver, which is unheard of.
And a couple of them will get picked in the 3rd round.
Yes.
Yeah.
So somebody's falling to us at 28, and hopefully somebody falls us at in the 2nd round. And anyway, so we have options, which is cool.
I understand the defensive impact, like I understand the impact that defense can have on the game, but I'm here to watch the offense. I want to see a wide receiver picked in the 1st round. Like give our boy Josh Allen some fucking weapons. Like who cares if the other team scores 56 points? If we score 57, I'm a happy boy. That's all I have to say.
Hey man, there's so many people that agree with you, Jake, because when the best player on your team is the 3rd best quarterback in the league, and I do say 3rd best, I do think truly, gun to my head, when he's healthy, I think Joe Burrow is a more accurate quarterback, and I think he does better. Oh, Tom doesn't agree.
Yeah. You ever see Joe Burrow try to run?
No, but you ever seen Joe Burrow not throw a ton of interceptions?
Have you ever seen Josh Allen just score all the touchdowns?
That's the problem. We need more people scoring the touchdowns now.
Fine. This is a whole other podcast, guys.
It is a whole other podcast. Tom, stay focused. I'm sick of you always going off the rails. Okay, wait. I'm gonna summarize these positions real quick. You ready? RB2 doesn't exist yet, so that's still a need. Yep. CB, your starters are Rasul Douglas and Christian Benford, but your depth is poopy, so it's a need. Safety, you've got one of your 2 starters, so yes, it's still a need. Defensive end, you've probably got your starters, but depth is a huge necessity. Defensive tackle, your backups after right now, Daquan Jones and Ed Oliver are super, super, super subpar. So
nope, they don't exist. They don't exist. Signs.
Right.
We have Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones. That's it.
So depth, an issue. And then wide receiver 2, still non-existent. So the only thing crossed off this list at this point, QB2. Thanks, Mitch.
Can I move up safety?
No.
I'm
just kidding. Do whatever you want.
Well, no, that's the whole point. We have to.
I know. So wait, where was
dialogue?
Safety was
the ends, and then safety here. Oh, that's D. That's not.
That's D. You're looking for S. So my honest opinion is no. Even though that you need the starter at the safety position. If you use the Nigel Croston tier of positional value, safety is so much.
TM.
Yeah, trademark. Safety is so far below defensive end. I would rather have a super strong 4-man defensive end rotation than 2 elite safety starters.
You're right.
10 out of 10 times.
Never mind. You're right. So anyway, folks, I mean, we crossed something off the list, but there's still work to do. So
yeah,
exciting.
A lot of work to do.
But yeah, holy cow. So
for sure.
Whew, boys.
Woo!
What an emotional week we've had. I
mean,
my
God, right? Dude. I texted you guys, and when I saw that Trey White was cut, dude, when I saw that, there were tears in my eyes. I welled up, dude.
Man,
he gave his body. He gave his body, both legs.
Literally.
For this city team. Yeah.
Yeah, man. He's not signed with a team. Who knows? Hopefully he'll still come back and be able to play. Maybe he's going to be one of those players who who signs in the middle of the year kind of thing. Or I don't know. Once he's healthy.
There's always the Trey White Goalie Academy.
Oh, the Trey White Goalie Academy.
Dude, UPL needs some pointers, dude. So
everybody could use them, dude. You know what? Sign me up for the Trey White Goalie Academy.
Well, all right. Folks, thank you so much for hanging out with us and riding through this free agency and trade deadline bonanza, because holy cow. And hanging in there. We appreciate you guys. Please give us a like wherever you can, either in person, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok, like all the places. Please do. We're at Let's Go Buff Pod with 2 Fs. These are my pals. That's Jake. That's Nigel. My name is Tom. And you're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo Pod. We're sending you love wherever you are. Go Bills. Go Buffalo.